Former Minister of Works and Housing, Babatunde Fashola, says it would be unrealistic to expect the local governments in Nigeria to function independently under the current constitution. Fashola's position appears to be in contrast to July 11, 2024 Supreme Court ruling mandating the federal government to henceforth pay allocations directly to local government councils from the Federation account. Fashola explained that state houses of assembly make laws for local governments, which amounts to an external influence that contradicts the idea of autonomy. Fashola acknowledged that before 1999, local governments received payments directly from the Federation account, but argued that officials of the local governments neglected their duties, leaving backlogs of unpaid salaries for governments like him at the time. To help us make sense of this, we are joined by legal practitioner Taiwo Ojumu. Taiwo, thank you for joining us this afternoon. So can you tell us which specific provisions of the 1999 Constitution as amended restricts the financial or administrative autonomy of local governments in Nigeria?
All right, thank you. Yes, before I proceed, let me quickly give the background. Let me say that, generally speaking, whenever the issue of local government autonomy comes up, what comes to mind is, for me, is a clash between what is and what ought to be. That is the ideal and the reality. Now, the ideal is that local government should have a full autonomy, to enjoy full autonomy, just like the other two tiers of government, that is federal and state government. But the reality is that, constitutionally speaking, I think I'm tempted to lean a bit in favor of what Babatunde Fashola said, that the constitution does not necessarily lean in full support of the autonomy of local government. Now, coming to your question, I think Section 162 of the Constitution, of the Constitution as amended, did talk about that all federal allocations going to the local government have to be credited into the joint states and local government account. That alone gives the state some element of control. Unless and until that provision is amended, it might be a kind of tall order for local government to enjoy full autonomy by virtue of that particular section.
Okay, thank you for that. Under Section 7 of the Constitution, what obligations are placed on state governments with respect to the existence and functioning of local governments?
Yes, the Section 7 of the Constitution actually directs the state government to provide some kind of structure for for the autonomy of local government, that is to ensure that local government does its constitutional duties, which include but not limited to maintenance of road, issuing certificates, birth certificates, marriage certificates, and the like, and also provide some kind of seamless election. But then like I said earlier, the fact that the Constitution does not fully grant does not fully provide for full autonomy, by which I mean fiscal and administrative autonomy. For instance, if the Constitution wants or deems it fit or intends to give the local government full autonomy, it would have made a provision for a kind of fiscal independence. That is, allocations from federal government should have gone straight to the local government. But the fact that the Constitution provides that there has to be joint allocation from federal government to the state government. From federal government to local government. The allocations coming from federal government has to go into a joint states and local government accounts. That alone, and you pays the piper, he pays the tune. The fact that the state government has the full control of the fiscal power or aspect of local government gives them a lot of authority and control over the local governments.
Can local governments be said to have legal personality or constitutional status independent of the state, or are they merely administrative appendages of state governments under Nigerian law?
Well, if you ask me, it depends on which side we're arguing from. ordinarily speaking, like I said, the ideal is that by virtue of that section, that is Section 7 of the Nigerian Constitution, local government existence is recognized. But the issue here, the lacuna here, is that that independence is not absolute. Absolute in the sense that there's no provision. I mean, the fact that the state still has a whole lot to do in the affairs of local government kind of whittles down the effect of that autonomy. So yes, like I said, the argument is neither there, and unless there's a major constitutional amendment, the local government might just be a shadow of the state government. Yes, so like I said, while the Constitution recognizes the existence and the autonomy, as it were, of the local government, it does not give specific provisions as to the full autonomy, insofar as the fiscal control of the local government still rests in the hands of the state government.
So we see that a year after the Supreme Court's judgment, federal government is yet to start paying local governments directly. What are the legal implications of failing to comply with a binding Supreme Court judgment? Yes,
the thing is that I think I've said this opinion here before, that as a lawyer, I feel that it is wrong, it's contempt of court not to obey the judgments of the court, more so the apex court of the land. However, I think the issue of constitution is something that I'm tempted to lean in favor of unrealistic Fashola, that there has to be a deliberate and intentional amendment of that provision of the constitution. The constitution, I mean, I think that both our politicians, our leaders should should have the political will to amend that. To make specific provision as to the independence of the constitution. It will take more than the Supreme Court pronouncement. You know, why we know that the Supreme Court is the apex court of the land, but I think that there has to be a major constitutional amendment that would actually complement the decision and pronouncement of the Supreme Court for it to have any major effect.
Thank you, Taiwo, for joining us this afternoon. Now
Thanks for having me.